Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going tonight, guys? So we want, tonight we're on here to talk about the game recap, roster cuts, everything, going on because we got roster cuts coming up that have to be done by Tuesday. And we got a lot of stuff to get into tonight, but the first thing we're going to get into is the game recap. So, Mohammed, what was your gut reaction to the Broncos dominating win 38-12 over the Arizona Cardinals?
I thought it was incredible, Eddie. Everything, the offense, the defense. I thought Zach Wilson played really well. I was very impressed by the way he played. Um, just to make some highlights, I thought Estime did pretty well. I could see that he was improving from what we saw the past couple of games. He does still need some improvement, still work, but I could see that he's making strides. Defense, Jordan Jackson did pretty well. Benito is on fire, just like last week. I mean, I can't even stop. Like all these players are just showing up greatly. Like we have a great defense. I mean, even the backups, it's just so deep. That's what I kind of got overall from the game tonight. What did you think, Eddie?
I was excited, man. Like I was freaking pumped. Like we kind of discussed this before we went live, but I did the math and through just 3 preseason games. Granted, it's only preseason. I mean, the wins, they don't really matter other than like building the confidence of the team. But over these 3 preseason games, the Broncos have averaged 33 points a game through 3 preseason games. Now, that could all change, of course, because once the regular season starts, you're not going to have all these backups in there. You're not going to have, Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson in there unless, knock on wood, Bo Nix gets hurt. But just with that, this team to me, like all 3 preseason games, man, they're showing heart, they're showing fight, they're showing grit, they're showing toughness. Like, honestly, and we knew through training camp, like there were reports coming out that, this was one of the most physical training camps, out of the year. Like the Broncos were really physical, they were really tough, they were really going strong. Like every single minute that Sean Payton was allowed to use for practice, he went to that minute. He exercised that minute completely. And like last year, I'm not saying they were soft last offseason during the training camp, but they didn't go as hard, you know. And I just feel like that shows the toughness of the team, man. This team is young. Like a lot of people compare, like say this team could be maybe with Bo Nix could be like the next Houston Texans team. Like what they were last year. People thought, oh, they're not gonna be good. They're gonna be last place in their division. They got a young rookie quarterback. It's gonna take some time. And then they came out and blew it out the water. Now, I'm gonna pick a different team, but my thing is like we're maybe not as young as this team was last year, but the Packers. Like this team is young, they're hungry, they're physical. This is gonna be an exciting year for Broncos country. And this Arizona game, like all of the preseason games showed that to me. But this Cardinals game, man, they were just dominating. Like in all 3 phases, I mean, they didn't play the first team, of course, but second and third team, they were hungry. They were there to play, and they whipped the freaking Arizona Cardinals butts. Like it wasn't even funny. Um, and as you said, depth, a lot of freaking depth on this roster, man. Like Sean Payton and his coaching staff have a lot of hard decisions to make. But with that said, I wanted to get your opinion on the quarterback position. Like we'll go through each position, but granted, Zach Wilson played like pretty much all games. Stidham only played 1 series. But what were your takeaways from that position?
I mean, honestly, Eddie, like Stidham was okay. I mean, Stidham was Stidham, like when watching him and stuff. I was really impressed with Zach Wilson, like the way he came out and the way he was playing. the energy, everything about his game was very impressive to me. And if I was gonna make that decision right now, I would just go with Zach Wilson. To be honest with you, you know, like I would just go ahead and pick Zach Wilson and maybe cut Stidham. He's younger. He's shown a lot of improvement. And then, like we've talked in the past, Eddie, like God forbid something happened to Bo Nix, our season is pretty much kind of over. I hope that doesn't happen. But what I'm saying is like, doesn't really matter, right? I mean, and I'll be okay with Wilson playing, you know, as a quarterback. And then if he's playing well and down the line some team needs a quarterback, they want to trade for him. Hey, we get some picks. That's how I'm looking at the quarterback position.
Yeah. I too want Zach Wilson to be the backup. Like Jarrett Stidham just needs to go. Like I'm not saying Jarrett Stidham was terrible, but he's clearly a backup, which is what they're fighting for. But um, I believe, of course, Zach Wilson's ceiling's higher than Jarrett Stidham's, but then at the same time, people will say, well, Stidham's floor is higher than Zach Wilson's floor. Honestly, I think Zach Wilson's floor is higher than Jarrett Stidham's ceiling. Like, I seriously do. Like, honestly, I think the Jets are just stupid. Like, that whole organization, the people that run it, they're not very good. Like, if they would have got an offensive minded head coach that could actually develop a quarterback, like, granted, he's only been with the Broncos for 4 months, Zach Wilson, but Sean Payton, I think, I'm not going to say he's fixed him 100% because he's still got some stuff he's got to work on. He's still got, there's certain things of his game he still needs to work on. But honestly, just watching him, you can tell he's starting to improve. He's getting better week by week. Zach Wilson is. I think the Jets organization is just it's a mess. And you could throw in the fact that they hired Nathaniel Hackett as their OC, and he's not going to be the one calling plays in New York this year. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers' offense. Aaron Rodgers going to be calling the plays. I think I heard a story a few weeks ago that what was it? I think Nathaniel Hackett called the play. Aaron Rodgers was like, no, we're not doing that. And he called his own play. I think this is whenever they were in Green Bay. I'm not sure, but
sounds like Aaron Rodgers stuff.
Yeah. So I like that whole organization is just a disaster. And I feel bad for any rookie quarterback that goes there after this year, unless they hire a good, offensive minded head coach. But today's game against the Cardinals, man, it once again illustrated how much depth, how much young guys, how much hunger is on this team. And I don't even know what the Broncos are going to do. Honestly, a lot of people are talking about, oh, the Broncos are going to carry 3 quarterbacks. No, they're not. They're not going to. I don't think Stidham's going to be on this roster. I think Zach Wilson will be the backup and Stidham's going to be cut, because not just because of the money aspect, but you got so much depth at wide receiver, running back, corner, safety, D-line, linebackers. It's like, why would Sean waste another roster spot on a quarterback whenever, he could put that, use that roster spot for somebody that maybe they don't want to lose, like on the defensive line. But the the Broncos have been dominating this entire preseason. Now, the first game was a little because the Colts scored 30 points, but the Broncos scored 34, then 27 last week and 38 this week. But overall, what was the one position in this game today that really, really impressed you? Like a lot.
Probably the defensive tackles, like the D line. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I mean, even when they didn't play a lot of the starters, I don't know if Benita played, but you could still see that it's like what are they gonna do? With all the backups that they have, the way they can play, it's just incredible. I would say defensive tackle. I was very impressed with Jackson. Thought he did pretty well. What else? Yeah, that's for me. What do you got, Eddie?
I have to probably say defensive line as well. I mean, they got wide receiver, we know. They got a lot of good wide receivers, and I think they're going to have a hard, I think offensive line and D line are going to be the two hardest positions for this team to, decide who they're going to keep and who they're going to cut. Um, I think, who was it? Jackson had like a really big play today. I think it was for like a fumble or a sack or something. I can't remember, but,
Twice. I think twice.
huh?
I said 2 times. I think he sacked the quarterback, and then I think he got a running back or something.
Yeah. Like he was in the backfield. Like it was crazy, man. Like I don't envy, like I said, the front office. I really don't. I don't envy the coaches that got to make these decisions because it's going to be hard. And I mean, to me, the biggest needs on a roster, what makes a football team, what makes the roster, what makes the team a winning, team in the season, of course, is quarterback. Like that you have to have a quarterback. Offensive line to keep your quarterbacks, upright and pass protective they need to, or run block. Defensive line and pass rushers who, um, you know, have to get after the quarterback, and then wide receiver. Like you have to have good wide receivers now. Um, yes, you do, Graham. Uh, anyway, but yeah, man, it's just so much depth. That's why I don't think they're going to carry Jarrett Stidham. I think Zach Wilson has done more than enough. Like, and I was actually thinking about this earlier, Mohammed. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. But people are going to say, oh, like I heard people say before the game, say, oh, Stem's only going to play like 18 or 15 snaps, one drive, whatever. So he locked up the quarterback 2 position. I'm like, well, yeah. If you think about all through training camp, the first 2 preseason games, he got more reps with the ones. He got more reps with everybody. He got more playing time than, I guess you could say Zach Wilson with like reps with the ones and the 2s. Zach Wilson's mostly been with the 3s. But I think the reason why they gave Zach Wilson so much, like even Stidham got more reps than he got about the same amount of reps the first 2 preseason games, except for maybe the Colts game. But like last week, he got the same amount of reps as, Zach Wilson. But I think today was the day where they were like, we're going to let Zach Wilson pretty much play the entire game because we just want to make sure he's, there. He's a good backup. I think that's what that was. I don't think it was because they like the whole thing of, oh, they're sitting, certain players because they've already locked up positions. If that's the case, that means P. Ryan's making the roster. Yeah, P. Ryan didn't play today. We heard on Friday he was supposed to play today. He was going to play the majority of the game. He didn't play a single down. I think P. Ryan is off the roster. I don't think he's going to be here. Like he'll be cut tomorrow. I'm trying to think of some other names. Little Jordan Humphrey didn't play today either. He didn't play a single down. So are they going to keep Jordan Humphrey? Nope. Maybe, but I doubt it. So that whole thing that, oh, they're going to, they don't play these players, that means they're automatically locked into the roster. I don't think it does.
But see, Eddie, I would say that like with when you hear Sean Payton speak about Zach Wilson, you can see how excited he is for him.
Yeah.
So even if like Sean Payton has decided, okay, we're gonna let Stidham go, or whoever they pick to be the backup, if a team comes calling, say, hey, we want Zach Wilson, we want Stidham, that could change anything, right? I mean, they could be like, hey, we'll give you a 4th or a 5th or whatever. That could change anything. But if you ask me right now, I think Sean Payton will probably be leaning more towards getting Zach Wilson.
That's the thing too. Like, say like you got 2 teams that call you tomorrow, or one team that calls you tomorrow and says, hey, we'll give you I want to get your take on this. And one team says, hey, we'll give you a 4th for Zach Wilson. And then, another team calls and says, hey, we'll give you a 5th for Jarrett Stidham. Who are you trading in that situation?
That's tough. Probably Stidham.
I'd still trade Stidham too. Yeah. I would trade Stidham too. Yes, a 4th round pick would be nice, but I would rather have a quarterback with a higher ceiling in case Bo Nix goes down. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it can't happen because, I mean, over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of starters go down and backups getting a lot of playing time throughout the season because someone, a starting quarterback goes down. But like I said, how often do you see? I think the last time I recall a 3rd string quarterback coming into play, where a team really probably needed a 3rd string quarterback was in the playoffs NFC Championship game a few years ago when Brock Purdy got his arm screwed up, and then Johnson came in for the 49ers and he got hurt.
It's just
Like,
a crazy situation. Like, it's very unlikely, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't think, like, and even if you trade Jarrett Stidham, like, say you trade Jarrett Stidham before the season starts and you got 2 quarterbacks on your roster, and it gets to that point in the season where, where both Bo Nix and Zach Wilson go down, knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen. You could very easily, if like Bo Nix goes down, whenever, the Broncos are probably going to go out and sign another quarterback.
yeah.
Especially if it's a long-term injury, they're probably going to put Bo Nix on IR. Go out, and that opens up a roster spot. You go out, you sign a quarterback to be Zach Wilson's backup. Like, it's not hard
That's
to
why I
do.
don't understand this whole 3 quarterback thing, Eddie. Like, to me, it's just 2. Like, why are we even, I don't even think that's very unlikely for them to keep 3 quarterbacks.
Well, look at Minnesota last year. Like, Minnesota very easily, like, I think, who was it? Kirk Cousins went down, and they went out and they traded for Joshua Dobbs, who I think was there for like a week and started the game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple days. He was there for maybe like 3 or 4 days, and he started the game. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, even the same thing happened with Baker Mayfield with the Rams. He was with Carolina. The Rams traded for him because I think Matthew Stafford went down that year. And he came in like 3 days being there. He started a game and he won the freaking game. And I'm pretty sure that was the game against us. Or maybe it was a game against the Raiders that year for the Rams. I can't remember. But, like, if Bo Nix goes down, they'll just go out and sign another backup quarterback to back up Zach Wilson if he's, like, down for multiple weeks or out for the year. But,
and see,
so I think,
Eddie,
yeah.
Just to simplify it to me, with these 2 quarterbacks, is like, who has more potential?
Zach Wilson.
That's it. That's answers the questions to me. Like, I don't even, I mean, I might be biased because I don't care for Stidham. I mean, I think you already know that, but
well, here's the thing. Like, if they would have signed Stidham this offseason, like they signed him in the offseason of 2023, to be Russ's backup, to have him as a failsafe in case Russ gets hurt or with what happened, he got benched because of his play. Like, I understand that they would have signed Stidham this year, but they didn't. Stidham had a 2-year contract. And if you remember, before they traded for Zach Wilson, they said they were trying to work out the deal for Zach Wilson for like a month before it actually went through. So I think Sean Payton's like, hey, we know the Jets want to get rid of Zach Wilson. They got Aaron Rodgers. Sean Payton's like, hey, let me get my hands on him. We'll trade a 6th-round pick to the Jets. We'll bring in Zach Wilson. Like, now people will say, oh, that was a contingency plan in case they couldn't get their guy in the draft. But maybe that's what part of it was. But I think the other part was that Sean Payton's like, I think I can fix this kid. And we heard, like, yeah. So Sean Payton, I believe, thinks he can fix him, which I believe he can. I think he has a little bit. Zach Wilson looks better than what he has. He's cheaper. Like I said, you cut Jarrett Stidham, you save $5 million. You're only paying, I think, Zach Wilson like 2.4.
Okay.
You're not even paying him that much. So, and he's a good backup. And like I said, we talked about this before the thing. I think Zach Wilson's floor is higher than Jarrett Stidham's ceiling. I do.
I agree.
But so I think it'll be Bo Nix and Zach Wilson. I think they're probably either going to cut or trade Jarrett Stidham. Now the running back room, this one's big to me. Of course Williams is going to make this roster. We know McLaughlin's going to make this roster. Estime, they played him a lot today. Like, they played pretty much for the whole entire first half. I could say he's probably a lock to make the roster, but also I think Beatty made a strong case today. I think Watson made a strong case. Say P. Ryan didn't play, so that tells me he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's making the roster. And Michael Burton, the fullback, if we kind of talked about this before we went live, they had Nate Atkins playing fullback today. So I don't know what that means. That could, maybe Burton has the starting spot locked up, or maybe they're going to get rid of him and just let Nate Atkins play fullback. But even still, like, that means they're going to have to carry it. Like, he's technically a tight end, but they're going to still have to carry him on the roster if they're going to use him at the fullback position. But I see them only carrying 3 running backs. What say you? And who are the 3 you think they're going to carry?
I think maybe at least 4, Eddie. I would say,
so?
well, yeah. I mean, I know Williams and Estime how high they picked him, I don't think they'll cut him. And like I said, he was not playing as well before, but like today, I kind of noticed that he was playing a little better. I saw some improvements and stuff, especially when he caught that ball, like
Yeah,
on the passing game. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. This touchdown. So Williams, Estime, McLaughlin.
McLaughlin.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be Blake Watson. I don't know, Eddie. Like fourth spot. I don't know. But I could be wrong. Could be three, like you said.
Well, like I said, like if yeah, Javante Estimate McLaughlin. But like I said, like this is why I don't think they're like we're gonna get into more positions. We're gonna get into every position on the roster. But this is why I don't see them carrying three quarterbacks. It's just not that common to carry three. And you got so much talent in other positions that Sean Payton's especially on the offense, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, especially, that I think Sean Payton's gonna want to hang on to. And if he can open up an extra roster spot by not carrying three quarterbacks, then I think he's going to do that.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's only going to be three. I think what Graham just said here, Estime, Javante, and McLaughlin are going to be the three they carry. I still think they carry Burton. I don't think Nate Atkins is going to be the full-time fullback. I think they're going to carry Burton. They brought him back for a reason. I think they keep him on the roster for this year. Because I'm not sure if they cut him or whatever, if they save any money, maybe $1 million, because I don't think they signed them for that much. So they could I think Burton's going to be on the roster. Now, moving on, I'm going to go to the tight end here for a second. Like, I think they carry 4 tight ends. I think they carry Dulcich, Adam Troutman, Kroll, and Nate Atkins are the 4 I think they carry. I think there's another one in there. I can't remember who it was, but who are the tight ends you think they're going to carry this year?
Dulcich. Kroll is one for sure. Troutman. The fourth one, I don't know, Eddie. Atkins maybe.
Well, the only other 2, yeah, they got
Yeah.
and they got Gaskin too. So,
but yeah, I got Dulcich, I got Kroll, I got Troutman, and Atkins.
Yeah, I think that's the 4 that they're going to carry. Because I think Atkins is a good, like Troutman, like I think he's a good he's a good blocking tight end. Nate Atkins, good blocking tight end, can also catch. Lucas Kroll, I think he's going to be pretty much last on the depth chart. I think he's more of a project kind of tight end that you could have in there if you need him. And then Dulcich, I think, is going to be the number 1. He's going to be the vertical threat that we use in the middle of the field.
I wanted to ask you something about Kroll.
Yeah.
Remember how Sean Payton was kind of praising him and saying all that stuff? I just didn't see. I don't know what happened. You see what I'm saying? Like the way he was speaking about him and stuff, I was like, I don't see it. He's okay.
I don't know, man.
Right?
I don't know, man. He had that, that first game against the Colts. He had the fumble. Bo Nix hits him. He fumbles the ball. And then last week, I mean, we didn't see him we see him this week. He played a little bit. I don't think he had any catches for any yards this week. He might have had 1 catch for a few yards. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to go back and look at the stat sheet.
Something because I think he played a lot with Zach Wilson, didn't he? What he did.
Yeah, but I don't think he got that many yards or that many catches today. Last week he got a few. I know that. But I don't know. I think he's going to be more of a project. He'll probably be the final tight end on the depth chart because Greg Dulcich is that vertical threat. That's what he is.
That's the guy.
And, like I said, Nate Atkins, he's a great blocking tight end, and he can catch. Like, I mean, I saw him play a little bit last year. Nate Atkins, I think, is pretty good. Like, I think it'll go probably Dulcich, Troutman, Atkins, and then Kroll will be the 4th and final tight end on this roster.
Early be in the end, yeah.
Now, I'm going to do receivers last on the offense, but next is the offensive line. Now, we got our starters. Like, I've been seeing a lot of people talk, they're only going to carry 8 offensive linemen, but we know the starting 5. It's going to be McGlinchey, Quinn Miners, Luke Wattenberg, Ben Powers, and Garrett Bowles. After that, like it's open. Like, and honestly, I'm gonna say this real quick before I turn it over to you, Mohammed. Alex Forsythe is not making this roster. Who?
What?
So who are your locks to make the offensive line this year?
You mean the starters?
No, like the entire offensive line, like backups. I mean, yeah, the starters, but who are the backups you think are going to make the roster this year?
I don't know, Eddie. Like I thought Forsyth is kind of locked in there because they could use him as a guard or a center in case something happened.
He was just
Um,
terrible today. He was
yeah,
awful.
he was. What's the other guy name?
Yeah, I agree with that. Mustipher was better today.
And then the guy they signed when what's his name got hurt? I forgot his name.
Um, I can't remember off the top of my head, but the ones I got making the backup would be Throckmorton. I think Petrie, Pacheski, like, and let's see, and I'd say probably Mustafert. You know, I think they keep two tackles and they keep two. They keep
Yeah,
two.
Jarvis.
They keep two inner offensive linemen and they keep two tackles. So I think the ones they keep are Throckmorton, Petrie, Pacheski, and Mustaford are going to be the offensive linemen they keep as backups.
I think I don't see Forsyth being cut, Eddie. I might be wrong, but um, how he's familiar with Bo Nix, I mean, we thought he's going to be the center. That didn't happen. You know, Wattenberg got that on lockdown, but
Yeah.
I thought they can use him a center or a guard in case something happened. But I guess the other offensive tackles could do the same thing. So he's not really special when it comes to that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Forsyth makes his team, he's going to be an inner offensive lineman, like a guard or a center. And honestly, if I had to choose right now, Muhammad, I don't think he's better than Throckmorton. I don't think he's better than Mustaford. Honestly,
I know
really
Mustard
don't.
is better. Yeah.
I don't think he's better than those two. And you got your starting five. They're going to keep two tackles. Bottom line. So there's seven. And if they're only going to keep 8 offensive linemen, that means he's got to go through like Throckmorton. He's got to go through who else do they have on the roster? He's got to go through him and I'm trying to think of Mustaford. He's got to get through those two guys in order to make the roster. If they only carry 8, if they carry 9, he might squeeze out one of those guys, but I doubt it. So maybe they sneak him. Maybe they put him on the practice squad. But I just don't think he makes the 53-man roster. Like today was the big day. Today was the day for him to show out, be good. This is the final preseason game. The cuts are coming in 2 days. And I just don't think he showed enough to warrant a roster spot.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but that's who I got on the offense so far. So to recap on offense, I got Bo Nix and Zach Wilson making it as the quarterback. Oh, no, we didn't go over the receivers. I'm sorry. So now the receivers. This is where I'm kind of hesitant to say that. Well, I say they're not going to carry 3 quarterbacks because you got so much depth, so many good playmakers in that wide receiver room. There's no way you could justify carrying 3 quarterbacks whenever you want to have all the weapons on this team to give Bo Nix to succeed in his first year. So, of course, these are the guys I know for sure locks to make this roster, at wide receiver. Cortland Sutton, Josh Reynolds,
Mims.
Tim Patrick, and I say Marvin Mims. Those are the only 4 I really say have it locked in 100%. After that, at the very minimum, they're going to have 2 extra spots open for wide receiver. Out of all the wide receivers outside those 4 I just listed, who do you think are the other 2 to make the roster?
Valet. I remember missing his name.
Valet, yep.
Valet, yeah, there you go. Valet. I think they're gonna keep Troy Franklin. I disagree. I don't know, Eddie. Um, but yeah, it's probably gonna be Vele and Troy Franklin. I
Okay.
don't see them cutting Troy Franklin.
I kind of see that too, but there's another one I'm going to throw out there. He's been on this roster, I think, for like a year, maybe two. This might be him going into his third year with this roster or second year with this roster. But the other one I got, he actually made the big touchdown play today with Zach Wilson. That 46-yard bomb that Zach Wilson threw to Brandon Johnson. Like, this kid always made – I mean, last year we had him, but he was on the practice squad, and we called him up. He made plays last year in the regular season for us. But he's another one for me that, it was a beauty. He's another one for me that I think could make this roster. He could be the 7th wide receiver. They might carry 7. I know that sounds crazy. A lot of like last year we only carried 5. Most teams I think carry 6. But this is why, with all the depth you have, I don't see the Broncos carrying it. And this is just on the offense. Like, we haven't even talked about the defense yet. So if they don't carry a third quarterback, I think that roster spot could go to someone like Brandon Johnson. Because honestly, if they try to put him on the practice squad this year, I don't think he's going to clear waivers. I think a team will pick him up.
Eddie, do you think he's better than Josh Reynolds? That's a tough question, right?
I know what Josh Reynolds did in Detroit, but he had a couple of good plays. And I've said this before, like, Brandon Johnson's more of a playmaker. He's not a big-bodied wide receiver. He's more of a fast, playmaker. Like, if you carry Sutton, Reynolds, Tim Patrick, and Vele, those are 4 big-bodied 50-50 guys. And then, if you carry 7 wide receivers, then you got Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin. If those are the other 2 who are speed demons that can blow past DBs to get downfield. And then the playmaker would be Brandon Johnson, in my opinion. So I don't know, man. Like, this is why I'm glad I'm not the coach. This is why I don't think they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not making those decisions, man. It's tough.
This is why I don't think they're going to carry. This is why I say they're not going to carry 3 quarterbacks, because there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these players, if you try to put them on the practice squad, they're not going to clear waivers. Somebody is going to pick them up. Someone will. And last year, you were able to maybe squeeze Brandon Johnson through the waivers and get him on the practice squad. This year, after what he did last preseason, during the regular season when he had his chances to play, and now in this preseason, I don't see people being like, oh, yeah, we're just going to pass on him, let him go. Someone's going to snag him. And God forbid, would that be the freaking Chiefs? That's something I
was actually thinking about that, Ed. I just didn't want to see it.
I mean, they've already – and think about this. The Chiefs did that to us last year. Or no, I'm sorry. We cut Montrell Washington, and the Chiefs picked him up like a couple of days later. Like, if you try to put freaking Brandon Johnson through waivers to get him on the practice squad, I would hate to see him go to the Chiefs and come out there and, I mean – I'm not saying he's like a number 1 or nothing, but he's a guy that can maybe torch you for maybe a play or 2.
But I mean, Eddie, we showcased all our players. So as soon as we cut people, guess what's going to happen? All these teams.
Oh, I know. So but I'm just saying, like, I think they carry 7 wide receivers, and I think Brandon Johnson's going to be the 7th one. So on offense, I got. I'll get your take here in a minute after I get through mine, but here's my who I think makes the roster on the offense. Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, Estime, Williams, McLaughlin. The fullback's going to be Burton. Receivers, it's going to be Sutton, Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick. Who was the other one? Sutton, Tim Patrick, Ryan Reynolds, Vele, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, of course, and Brandon Johnson. Tight ends, it's going to be Dulcich, Troutman, Kroll, and Atkins. Offensive line, of course, the starting 5, Bulls, Powers, Wattenberg, Meisner, and McGlinchey. And then after that, I think it'll be Throckmorton, Petrie, Pacheski, and Mustaford. That's my offense for the Broncos. What about you?
I guess the quarterback's the same. I got Bo Nix, Zach Wilson. Wide receivers: Sutton, Mims, Tim Patrick, Troy Franklin, Josh Reynolds, and I'll throw in Brandon Johnson in there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the running backs:
Yeah.
Javante Williams and Javante Williams and uh,
Estimate McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. Yeah, I'm kind of getting myself all worked out in here. The
I
offense,
understand.
yeah, the O line. I mean, we have the starters. No reason to go through them, but I guess I got Mustaford. Um, I think Forsyth's probably going to stay, and then Thornton.
So you got them carrying 3 backups on the offensive line? Okay. Uh, all right. So we went through the offense. Let's go through the defense. We'll start off with, I guess, the defensive line because that's the first thing I have on my list. Now, we know the starters on the defensive line. We know Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, and DJ Jones. After that, I think they carry 6 defensive linemen personally. I think they carry a backup for each position. They'll carry 2 left ends, 2 right ends, and 2 D tackles. I think going through it, Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, of course, DJ Jones. And I think the backups are going to be Malcolm Roach is going to be one of the backups. I think it's hard to decide on this, man. It really is. I'd say probably either Awazarike or Matt Henningsen. One of those 2 are going to make it. And then for the last defensive lineman roster spot, I'm up in the air on Blackson, and I'd say probably Jordan Jackson. One of those 2 guys are going to make the roster. Because I mean the defensive line looked good. Like the reason why we were so good at stopping the run this preseason is because we upgraded that defensive line drastically. And the biggest one I remember seeing in the backfield consistently in the first 2 preseason games to stop the run was Malcolm Roach. So that's why I'm saying he's a lock 100% to make the roster.
I got him.
But yeah, like this defensive line, like whoever showed out mostly in the preseason, to stop the run, I think is going to be who's going to make the, backup positions. Like I said, Malcolm Roach is one. And like I said, Jordan Jackson and freaking Henningsen Henningsen are probably the biggest ones in my opinion. Who do you think is going to make the defensive line on the roster?
Michael Roach for sure. Got him on lock. Jordan Jackson, I was very, very impressed with him today. I guess Hennington, that's a possibility as far as the backup. I mean, we know the starters, right? I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I got. But Malcolm Roach, I'm very impressed with him.
And here's the thing. Awazarike, I didn't see him out there today. I didn't really hear his name called, but
because they're gonna cut him.
I think they will because we didn't see him in the first preseason game. We saw him in the second one. He did all right, and we didn't see him today. I mean, if he was out there, I didn't hear his name called at all. Whether if it was for a penalty, him getting in the backfield, stopping a run, or getting a sack, I didn't hear his name called at all today. I don't even know if he played. So, yeah, I don't think he makes the roster. So I think we kind of agree on the defensive line. I think the only one we had different. I don't know. We both picked Henningsen, so I think we're a lock on the defensive line. Now, here's a big one. Now, linebackers. This includes middle and outside. Of course, we know the starters, in middle, on the inside and the outside. The starters on the outside are going to be Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, Jonah Ellis. The inside linebackers, the starters are going to be Singleton and Burton, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed it, but Burton played. He's most likely going to be a starter, and he played today.
I agree. So I was kind of surprised to see him out there.
But after that, who like outside of the we'll start with outside linebacker, then we'll move to inside linebacker. Outside linebackers, knowing who the top four are gonna be most likely, because I doubt they're not. Ellis ain't going nowhere. Neither is Nick Benito, Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper. They're not going nowhere. I think they carry a fifth outside linebacker. Who would you think that would be off the top of your head?
That's a tough one, Eddie.
You got I'm trying to see here. You got Jalen Allen. Let's see. I'm trying. Thomas Incoom, Ronnie Perkins, and DeAndre Tillman.
Tillman?
I think so too. Like that game today, man, he was like he had a few roughing the passer penalties on him, or I think one today, but he was just getting in the backfield consistently.
Yeah, Incoom was
always in the backfield. I don't think it's gonna be Incoom because he didn't really have a great game. Actually, I think he was the other one that had a few roughing the passer penalties. He just kept hitting the. I mean, I like the physicality, but
they're trying to make the roster, so I think that's what it is. They're trying to make the roster, so they're trying to show that they actually, that's how you get in trouble. So,
but I think Tillman's going to be that one because he was good in the run game. He was good at getting into the backfield. I think Tillman's going to be that fifth linebacker. Do you think they're going to carry five, or do you think they're going to carry only four outside?
I think four.
Four, okay. And I'm pretty sure your four are the same as mine, right? Browning, Cooper, Ellis, and Benito.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving into inside linebacker. Now, like I said, we know the starting two. I think they carry four inside linebackers. Personally, we know the starting two. We know Alex Singleton and Burton. And I mean, I think this should go without saying. Like, I hate to say this because he had the big play today. Bailey's going to get cut because that was pretty much the only big thing he really did all preseason.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was a 94, interception for a pick six. But I think the other two backups, one's going to be Griffith. We know that. He's actually been playing well in this preseason, so I don't think he's going anywhere. And the other one's going to be Strnad because Strnad's a good special teamer. They use him a lot there. And he, granted, yes, Bailey had the pick six, today. But Strnad, like I said, he's a special team guy, but he also, I don't know if you remember earlier in the game, whenever the Cardinals were inside the 10, he had that hit that forced the receiver to fumble the ball.
Exactly. I did see that. Yeah.
So I think it's, Singleton, Burton, Jonas Griffith, and Strnad are the four inside linebackers to make this roster. What do you say?
I agree with you, Eddie. Strong got that benefit since he plays with a special team that kind of, puts him aside, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, I would say Bailey. I would say Bailey would make the roster if he had a couple of more if he made some plays through the first two preseason games, he was out there and he made a tackle for a loss, or he hit the running back in the backfield, or even had another turnover, compared to what, with that pick six he had today, I'd be like, it's going to probably be hard to pick between him and Justin Strnad on who's going to, play or get the roster spot. But the fact that they both had turnovers today, or they both forced turnovers, Bailey got the pick six, Strnad got the, hit that caused the fumble. I just think Strnad had a better camp and a better couple of preseason games than Bailey did. So I think, therefore, he makes the roster. So that's my opinion on that. Now we got the cornerback position. Now, here's where I'm like, okay, they're going to carry five, maybe six, depending if they really like somebody. But I don't know if you noticed, but Levi Wallace was out there today. I remember seeing him in one play where he made I think he made a tackle.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first plays of the game. The guy's coming over on a drag, catches the ball, and Wallace, I think it was man coverage. Wallace followed him all the way across the field and tackled him to prevent him from getting the first down because there was nobody else over there. Wallace doesn't make that tackle, that guy's picking up a first down and probably a lot more. But the corners I got making this roster, of course, Surtain, that's not even up for debate. McMillan, once again, not even up for debate. And now with the likelihood of Damari Mathis, he got hurt today. He didn't really get to play. I don't think he makes the roster. So Surtain, McMillan, I think Levi Wallace and Moss make the roster, and so does Abrams Drain. He's actually had a couple of decent plays today, over the preseason too. So I think they carry 5, maybe they carry 6, but those are my 5 to make the roster. Who are yours?
Pretty much agree with you, Eddie. It's bad. Like I felt really bad for Mathis when I saw that, saw the way he got hurt and stuff. I'm glad he's not serious. I guess his X-ray came negative. Hope he's okay. Sertan, I guess, Moss, McMillian, Levi Wallace, Drain. I agree with you. They might keep another one, Eddie. Either Smith or Taylor. I don't know.
I'm trying to think. Let me look here. Okay. Well, if we want to move on to safety real quick, this will kind of go into the cornerback. Mm-hmm. The safeties that are going to be the starters, of course, PJ Locke, Brandon Jones. Okay. Now here, like last week, I was saying Skinner. I think they carry 4 safeties. Brandon Jones, PJ Locke, Skinner. And then I think the other one I had to make this roster, I think was Devin Key. But I'm actually starting to change my tune on that. Like, they could carry this guy as the 6th corner, or they could use him as a backup safety because he's listed as a DB. And that is, what's his name? Kadron Smith?
Smith. Yeah.
The guy that's he's been making plays all preseason. He had, I think it was, didn't he have a pick last week against the Packers? Mm-hmm. I believe he had a pick last week.
And the week before. I'd be surprised if they cut him, Eddie.
Yeah, like if they, it's hard to say. Like, I would like to keep Devontae Key because he's made some good plays too. But I don't know, man. I just think that freaking the Smith kid, dude, he's been really good out there. I'm pretty sure today, whenever Strenad hit that receiver and he fumbled the ball, Key was the one, or I'm not Key. Smith is the one that picked it up. He was right there. He's constantly in good coverage. He's always batting down passes. He had the 1 interception. Like, I think they play him at safety because that's where they've been playing him, not corner, but safety. I think it goes Brandon Jones, PJ Locke. He had 3 interceptions in the preseason. That kid's a lock to make this roster, but I think he plays safety. I think that's what he's been playing this entire preseason. So it's going to be Brandon Jones, PJ Locke, Skinner, and Smith. Those are going to be your 4 safeties. What are your thoughts?
I agree. So you think they're going to carry 4?
Yeah. Dante Turner-Yell, I think, is gone. Maybe they stick him on the practice. That was the other one. It wasn't Devontae Key. It was Dante Turner-Yell. I think he either gets put on the practice squad or gets cut. So, but yeah, like that's my full list. Like, and then of course they're going to keep Riley Dixon. I think Riley Dixon pretty much won the punting competition between him and Trenton Gill. Yeah. I think Trenton Gill, they might put on the practice squad and keep him there for safekeeping. And then Will Lutz, of course, is the kicker. And then you got Fabian, or you got what's his name? Fairbairn, I think, as the long snapper. So, but yeah, like unless they cut Levi Wallace.
Who's going to be the coach?
What? Vance Joseph.
Oh man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't take it back. God.
Dare I say, like, if people are saying, I mean, maybe there is going to be an extra cornerback spot. Maybe they get rid of Levi Wallace. He's been hurt. He's older. He only played in today's preseason game. And like I said, the only play I seen him make was that one nice play where man coverage, he followed the guy across the field and prevented him from getting a first. But it's like, if they want to carry some of these younger guys, they're going to, like Chris Abrams Drain, Surtain, Riley Moss, McMillan. I mean, they could keep him, but he's probably going to be a backup, I would say. especially since Riley Moss has been playing really well at that cornerback too while he was hurt. Levi Wallace could be a backup.
You think Mathis is gone, right? Especially after him
Yeah,
getting.
Mathis is gone. Like he wasn't very good last year when he played. Like, I mean, I went back and watched that Raiders game and Commanders game, week 1 and 2 last year. The kid was just getting burnt consistently. Like every play, the receiver he was supposed to be covering was just wide open, had like 5 or 6 steps on, Mathis.
I thought
And
he did
then this,
better this season. I mean, this preseason, Eddie. Like I
he
thought
had
he
a
made
solid
some
camp. He had a
improvement.
solid preseason, but I think Riley Moss had a better one.
I agree. I agree.
In honesty, and now that he's hurt, and he was gonna, he was supposed to play it. I think he played like 2 snaps and got hurt. So, I think that hurt his ability to stay on the roster. Maybe if he would have went out there today and had like a pick or something, he probably would have made the roster. But I think now it's over for him. So, but going through it real quick. So this is my starting defense, and the players I think they keep on the defensive side of the ball for the year. So I got Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach, Matt Henningsen, and who was the other one? Jordan Jackson. Those are my 6. Outside linebackers, like I said, I think they keep maybe 5. I could be wrong there, but this is what I think they're going to do. I think they keep, of course, Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito, Jonah Ellis, and I think they keep the other young kid we talked about earlier, Tillman, as a third outside linebacker. Think they keep 4 inside, of course, Alex Singleton, Michael Burt, Jonas Griffith, and Justin Strinad. Cornerbacks, Surtain, I think they only keep 5. Surtain, Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillan, Levi Wallace, and Abrams Drain. And then safeties, I said like they keep 4. They keep Brandon Jones, PJ Locke. Who was the other ones? I'm drawing the blank here. Give me a second. JL Skinner, and then the other kid we talked about. What was his name? I'm drawing the blank here. Smith. Those are the 4 safeties I think they keep on defense. And you kind of agreed with all that.
Yeah.
I think.
Just wanted to ask you something, Eddie. I know we
What's
talked
up?
about this before the preseason started. Like, what do you see as a weakness in our defense? Tough, right?
Now it looks like the run defense has been fixed, and honestly, it's hard to say. Not just because they fixed the run defense, but this defense just looks a lot more physical. Like, we know Vance Joseph is going to blitz a lot this year. They're going to be a lot more physical.
I can't wait for that.
Like, we talked about, like, before the preseason and train camp, we talked about inside linebacker being the biggest weakness, but Singleton looks a lot more physical and better out there. Burton looks physical, and he looks good out there. Jonas Griffith and Strinad both look good and physical out there. Like, if I had to pick, and it's not really a weakness, I'm just going to say that they could be better, would be Baron Browning and Jonathan Cooper.
Okay.
Honestly. Because through this preseason, honestly, Jonah Ellis and Nick Benito impressed me more than Baron Browning and Jonathan Cooper. They really have. That tandem of Nick Benito and Jonah Ellis looked a lot more dangerous than the tandem of Baron Browning and Jonathan Cooper. Not saying they're not good, but what about you, Mohammed?
I mean, like before the preseason, I was kind of worried about our cornerbacks. Like who's going to be playing against Surtain. We know McMillan got the nickel part figured out.
Yeah.
But I'm very comfortable with Moss, so that's not an issue for me. Inside linebacker, I guess I agree with you. Singleton's playing pretty physical and stuff. I do think in the future they should invest on like a real good inside linebacker, because we never actually addressed that position. Maybe in the draft, maybe in the free agency, but yeah. But overall, I think the defense is pretty good. I still think that they're going to be a top 5 defense.
Okay. And to go off your point, what do you think the biggest weakness is on our offense?
Offense.
Because I got two I'm thinking of right now, but I think the two guys that were, that are the starters on those positions have really shown out in training camp and preseason. And I don't think it's a weakness anymore. And that's
I mean,
center and tight end.
tight end. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say the tight end. I was kind of worried about it because I didn't know what's going on with like Dosage. Is Dosage going to be? Yeah, I agree, Graham.
The backup O line, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
Dosage. He's playing pretty well. He's not hurt anymore. He's healthy. We got Troutman. The O line. Yeah, Garrett Bowles kind of scares me sometimes because sometimes he has this tendency of going back to start like holding again. Maybe it's like
yeah.
PTSD or something. But that's what I'm gonna say. Oh my! Remember those days, Eddie? Like
Oh,
holding,
don't even get
holding.
me started.
God.
But yeah, like like before training camp and preseason, I was saying center because we knew we had a competition there. And then before preseason and training camp, I would have said tight end too because we weren't sure if Dulcich was going to be healthy enough. But we watched Dulcich play through preseason and training camp. He looks good. Like he's fast, he's getting in and out of cuts, he's catching the ball. Like I'm not worried about the tight end position, at least starting position anyway. Now, what Graham said here with backup offensive lineman, yeah, but I think that's going to be like that with any team. Anytime your backups go in, you're kind of like, they're backups for a reason. They're not starters, they're backups for a reason. Usually, backups come in whenever a starter gets hurt, you know, and like this is the way I look at it. Like, say, like your starter gets hurt, right? And your backup comes in and they're there to play. Like backups are normally supposed to be there for maybe a game, maybe two at the most. But if like the starter's out more longer term,
Gotta go sign
like he's
somebody.
out for the entire season, they usually go out and sign somebody else. Or they might even draft that position the following year in the draft, not knowing like, hey, maybe our starter's not because
Maybe
like
I heard.
that's why they always make a big deal of, injury history. Like if a player is consistently injured, oh, this team, they really don't have any depth. They really don't have any backups good enough to be their starter starting next year. They need to go out and draft this position. Like they were talking about that about the tight end position for the Broncos this offseason. Oh, we don't know if Dulcich is the guy, because he's constantly hurt. The Broncos need to go out and address that in free agency or in the draft. So, but backups are backups for a reason. But I'm mostly focusing on the starters. But like Greg Dulcich, he's out there. He's been healthy. He's been playing. He's been really good. So I'm not concerned with the center or the tight end position anymore. And center, Luke Wattenberg, man, he's been mauling guys out there at center. Like I really thought center was going to be like a big problem for us all year. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel comfortable letting Luke Wattenberg be the starter and that he's going to freaking just demolish people in the middle of that offensive line. So that's what I feel about it. But last thing I want to get into is week 1. What is your predictions for the Broncos at the Seahawks? What, like, not just score predictions, but we'll get into that. But what do you think Bo Nix's stat line looks like week 1? Go ahead, Mohammed.
Um, I see him scoring maybe a touchdown or two. Maybe we get like a rushing touchdown, about 21 points, 23 points, something like that. Um,
Do you think the Broncos win?
oh, absolutely. I think our defense is gonna make the Seahawks actually go crazy. They're very stingy. I could tell they're gonna harass them the whole night. So, they're not. Yeah, they're not gonna score a lot of points. Maybe 13 points at that. Maybe a touchdown, a couple of field goals. Yeah. So I'll say maybe 23-13, something like that.
Oh, you're close to my score, man. I posted
Really?
my score up a couple days ago. I got the Broncos winning 24-13.
24. Oh, okay. I take
And
that.
I know a lot of people think that's crazy, but Geno Smith is not that guy. I like DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett's ancient. Like, even though he could still play, he's ancient. They got the other kid too. What's his name? A Jigba or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He looks pretty good, but I think with our secondary being like the secondary has always been the strength of the Broncos, in my opinion. And I don't think those receivers are going to do jack. Like, yeah, they beat us a few years ago, but I think the reason why they beat us is because of a buffoon head coach. Like, if you had Sean Payton back there, we lost by a point. Like, I don't think the Seahawks beat us 2 years ago if you had Sean Payton as your head coach. I really don't think they beat us.
Teams are not going to want to play our defense. I'm telling you, it's going to take a few weeks, but they're going to be like, no, you can't score on them.
I agree. But what I got for Bo Nix's stat line for that game, now you're probably going to be like, I mean, it's not crazy, but you're going to probably be like, yeah, I'll take that in a heartbeat. I got Bo Nix going 15 for 18, 214 yards, 2 TDs, no INTs.
Yeah, I don't see him throwing any interceptions. I think that's reasonable, Eddie. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I honestly thought you were going to say 300 yards or something, but
no. Give me about half the season, and if he keeps improving, then I'll be like, yeah, Bo Nix is going to throw for 300 yards. Especially like maybe that week against that we play the Panthers. Like, he'll probably throw for 400 yards.
Yeah, he's going to definitely get better, Eddie. I mean, as we go, he's going to get better. We know that. Just needs some time and allow him to throw an interception or two. That's not.
And don't freak out about it, guys.
Oh, they will.
If Bo Nix throws an interception, don't lose your mind. He's still a rookie. Even the best of the best. Patrick Mahomes throws interceptions. Tom Brady throws interceptions. He's not going to go through his entire career or his entire first season without throwing a pick.
Peyton Manning still has the record, right?
The record, exactly. And last thing I wanted to touch on, because we're over an hour already, Mohammed. The last thing I wanted to touch on before we go tonight, I just want to get your opinion on this. What did you think? Actually, there's two things I want to get your opinion on. What did you think of that 46-yard bomb from Zach Wilson to Johnson towards the end of the game?
It was beautiful. God, yeah, that was pretty good. And that he showed his arm strength too. That play, that was really nice.
Now, a lot of people I saw were talking about, the DB was just retarded. He overran the route or something. I'm like, who cares? Zach Wilson plays that ball perfectly, in my opinion, to where, Johnson had to kind of like fall down to grab it, but it was still perfect. Like, you want to do that. You want to keep it away from the DB. Exactly. Throw it on the inside. I mean, you could have threw on the outside, but I think that DB probably would have picked it off if it was thrown to the outside. And the last play I want to ask you about, like I said, I don't think this guy's going to make the roster, but that 94-yard pick six was a thing of freaking beauty. What was your gut reaction? What was your thoughts whenever you watched that live?
Kind of took me back to 2015, Eddie.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I mean, like, just our defense, the no-fly zone, the way we used to, like, pick teams, and I want that to be back, man. Hopefully this year,
Man, like, I think I woke up my wife and my kids because, yes, I understand. It's the third stringers. It's only preseason, but whenever I've seen him pick that ball off, I'm screaming, go, 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 go. I was screaming like crazy, man. I'm like, don't get tackled. Run it back for 6.
Good things are coming to the Broncos, Eddie.
Oh, they definitely are. This team is going to be a sleeper team. A lot of people, and what I find funny, Mohammed, is like some people are still saying the Broncos ain't going to be very good this year. But a lot of the national media I've been seeing are like, yeah, the Broncos are actually going to, they're going to surprise people this year. Yeah. And it's so funny that just 4 short months ago, when we drafted Bo freaking Nix, they were like, oh, the Broncos reached. The Broncos are years away from being contenders or being relevant or being good. And now, after preseason, after training camp, Bo Nix being named the starter and everything we've seen up until this point, it's amazing how fast that national media narrative just flipped.
Exactly.
And Like,
And it's gonna really change, Eddie, once the season starts. Yeah.
it's just funny to me. Like, but you know what's going to be even funnier is we kind of touched on it. Like, if Bo Nix once Bo Nix throws his first pick, because you know what, he's going to throw one. Like, I think he's going to probably throw, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 this year. I think he'll throw. Just still being a rookie, still going through the growing pains. That's still going to happen.
I mean, he's not a robot, so I think he's gonna throw
exactly.
it. Exactly. So I mean,
but the second he throws his first pick, you're going to see a lot of Bronco fans and national media members be like, "Oh, well, yep, there it is. That's why the Broncos shouldn't have took him." So what? A young any QB, I don't care, freaking Tom damn Brady.
It's gonna happen.
Everybody throws a pick. Now, would I be scared if he was throwing like 2 picks a game and he ended up with like freaking, 15, 16 picks by the end of the year? Yeah, I'd be like, "Oh, what the heck are you doing, Bo?"
Yeah.
But it's just gonna be funny.
He's very careful with the football, Eddie. Like, he's very accurate. I don't really see that happening.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not going to do that, but I'm just saying, like, it's going to be funny to watch some Bronco fans and the national media just flip again whenever Bo Nix, like, maybe has a bad game or throws an interception or whatever. He just has like a bad game. Maybe he's awful again. Even Patrick Mahomes has bad games. Freaking Tom Brady's had bad games. Peyton Manning's had bad games. Like, every quarterback is going to have a bad game. To where, and it's not even just the quarterback in general either. It could be the entire offense is just having a bad game, and the defense has to carry the offense through that game, and that's fine. There's going to be some times where the defense has a bad game, and the offense has got to carry the defense. That's just the way it is in this league. So it's going to be funny to watch these narratives flip through the entire year. And the one thing I'm looking forward to, Mohammed, like I said, I got the Broncos making the playoffs this year, but it's going to be funny when the Broncos if the Broncos make the playoffs this year, even if they get eliminated in the first round, but they just make the playoffs. God forbid if they win a freaking game, dude, people's heads are going to explode if they make the playoffs. But if the Broncos make the playoffs and win a game, like the whole national media and all these Bronco fans are like, "Oh, blah, 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 the blah, blah, blah." Their heads are going to go just explode. Like, how'd they do this? We told you the talent's there. You have the right coach. You got the quarterback.
You got to give him a lot of credit. He's a magician, man. I mean, he changed the whole culture.
Especially taking an $85 million cap hit, rebuilding this roster in 1 season, maybe 2. Getting this franchise guy in the draft who turns around and plays great in his rookie year, maybe wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, and then resurrects Zach Wilson's career. Like, the narrative on Sean Payton too is going to flip. All these people last year that were talking smack about him, saying how they don't like him because of how he treated Russ, is going to be like, they're going to be silent, or they're going to try to go back on what they said. So, but any final thoughts, Mohammed, before we get out of here tonight?
Just I feel really comfortable with everything I see with the Broncos. I think the defense is legit. I think the offense is going to be pretty good, pretty surprising to a lot of people. So we're coming, everybody. The Broncos are
11-6. Everybody heard it here first. Broncos are making the playoffs and going 11-6. Book me on that. So, but Mohammed, this has been another great episode. I had a lot of fun. We got the last preseason game of the day. The season 2 weeks away, man. 14 days. So, but we will talk to all you guys next Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Please like, comment, subscribe on this video, and we will see you guys next week. Mohammed, have a good night, man.
Take care.